Alright, 3 and 2.
We're waiting. It's still waiting.
What's going on, guys? You're checking out WWE RCWR Show. Lee Sanders here. We have been covering the latest in wrestling entertainment and beyond since 2011. Coming at you guys for Tuesday night of September the 11th, 2018. Future reference for those of you that maybe are not aware, especially if you're checking this out live, like when it comes to tuning into the show 10 p.m. Like if you go to the Spreaker.com website, you can actually interact with me as I'm live promptly. I'm just kicking back, playing music, and I spend an extra couple of minutes trying to make sure that the stream on YouTube is running very smooth. Because you'd be surprised, you know, what I'm doing is not Google Hangouts. It's not okay, I just gotta launch Google Hangouts and yay, I can do a show. I'm doing more complex shit. And as a result of that, sometimes there's like a lot of encoding that's involved. So a lot of times, and longtime listeners can back me up on this, especially if you've been checking out the stream the past couple of weeks, there's been issues with the stream, so much so that there has been some serious lagging. Like you'll see me like this, and then all of a sudden I'm frozen for 10 minutes, and that's it. You just see an image and you hear the audio, but the audio ain't syncing up with what you're seeing visually. So if you guys ever want to like, okay, what's going on with the show already, you're more than welcome to hop on over to Spreaker, because I do come on promptly on that platform. I'm playing music, I'm talking shit, you know, just a little FYI for you guys, okay? I tell you, you do something nice and it's like, it's still waiting. It's like, you think I want you to wait? I don't want you to wait. I want to get the show over and done with because I got work in the morning and all that other good stuff. So the last thing I want is to have you guys be kicking back, waiting for long, significant periods of time. And for those of you that maybe were waiting around a little bit, do apologize. But at least now you know for future reference. I hope your week has been off to a good start. Mine's okay. It's kind of weird because, honestly, the way that this past week began for me or ended for me, I guess really the icing on the cake, like what really set me off this week, was the fact that I've been receiving Robo Calls. How many of you guys like are familiar with the Robo Calls? The Robo Calls, like, they just call you out the clear blue. You get these stupid, irritating Robo Calls on the hour, every hour. They aren't even asking for you. Like, pretty much half the damn time, you pick up the phone and you're saying hello, you get some type of, hi, can you hear me okay? And you know that's the new scam. As soon as you say yes or some crap like that, what they're doing, these robocallers, these scammers, usually from India, not being racist, I'm telling the truth. You guys can back me up if you've received those type of calls. You know what I'm talking about. Basically, these guys will take answers like yes, no, and try to use that to set up checking accounts, credit cards, things of that nature. Like, you know, normally when you're trying to set some shit up like that, you have to say yes or no to authorize, right? So that's where the cleverness, that's how like so far advanced these goddamn robocaller scammers are starting to get. So anyway, I've been dealing with robocallers for, I would have to say, last year I actually was pretty damn good. Last year I hardly received any type of calls whatsoever. But then like this year, I would have to say by the month, the robocalls just started to get more and more ridiculous, right? And it got to the point where like I've had the same cell phone number for, I would say, at least 7 years. And I sadly had to change my phone number earlier today. That's like, I know, right? I mean, on a good note, my inner circle of friends and family, it's pretty small. So I really didn't have to, and as far as my business acquaintances and all that goes, you know, it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was initially going to be, because when I sent everybody a group text message with my new number, Like, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I pretty much was able to get every single body I could think of. But like, to lose my phone number that I've had for 7 years, I can't stand it. It pissed me off big time, man. But the icing, like, what set me off today was a goddamn Robo Call. And the Robo Call, I'm like, hey, dude. I called the guy. I say, hey, dude, look. I say, I know you guys work at a call center. I used to work at a call center many years ago. I got a lot of respect for you guys. I know the work that you guys are putting in. But look, man, I have been speaking to you guys off and on for about a month and a half. I've been asking you guys to take my phone number, put it on your do not call list. I don't understand what's so hard for you guys to put this number on your do not call list. What is so hard for you guys to stop calling this number, right? And the guy's being kind of combative, and he's coming at me with some BS line like, well, we haven't called you. I said, sir, I said, I'm calling from an unknown number. So how you going to tell me that you all haven't been calling me when you don't even know what number you all have been calling? I'm like, come on, if you're really going to be serious about helping me and addressing my concerns, let's be transparent here. And so dude's like, well, what's the phone number? I tell him the phone number, and he's like, no, we haven't been calling you like that. I said, sir, I was like, all due respect, it's like, I got you guys calling me beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern on the hour, every hour. And like, by this point, it was probably like about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so, what's up, Mark? And so, what's up, Austin? And so those guys, they're like, well, no, we haven't been calling. And I'm like, dude, it's like, I have caller ID. I can easily send you a screenshot and email you the images of the numbers that you guys are calling me from and the other spoof numbers that you guys are calling me from. I don't understand. Why is it so hard to get my number removed? Like, who do I need to speak to get my number removed? And so, dude actually raised his voice at me, and I jumped in. I said, dude, why are you yelling at me? I was like, you need to lose the base. I told him that straight up. I said, you need to lose the base. I'm showing you serious respect right now. I could be in a position where I could curse you out very easily, and I would have been well within my right to do so a long time ago. I'm like, you need to lose the base. I'm being courteous. I'm being respectful to you. You need to return the same gesture. And he was like, oh, I'm not being rude. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't raising my voice. I was not raising my voice. I'm not mocking Indian people. That's just how he sounded. He was like, I was not raising my voice. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I give him the phone number, and he just tries to hurry up and rush me off the phone. And I bullshit you guys not. An hour later, I get another call from these same people. And like, one of the automated voice messages they do, it's like, we would like to confirm some of your personal information so that we can approve you for a payday loan. It's like, wait a minute, I've never ever signed up for a payday loan. Like, I've never done any type of business like that. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it's just a generic voicemail. Like, they don't leave the name of the company. They just give you like that BS robotic script. And then the weird part is when you call these guys, right? I know you guys are feeling me because I see what you guys are saying in the chat. The weird kicker, though, is when you freaking call these numbers, right? Half the damn time, the numbers are dead, right? And then if the numbers aren't dead, like, after it rings a couple of times, you hear like a little ping. It'll go like, bop, 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 and then you'll hear like 5 seconds of silence. And then somebody just comes on and says, hello. It's like, I'm sorry, but if you're actually a legit business practice, like there is some type of record of you according to the Better Business Bureau and all that shit, then like there should be like, hey, hello, you have reached blah 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 to speak to a customer agent, press. And so I got like the same call. I'm thinking I'm done with this guy, and like an hour later, now it's one thing if somebody says to me, hey, look, we've done it at our end, we've removed your phone number, but it's possible you may receive calls for the next 24, 48, 72 hours. We appreciate your patience, but you know, it is in the system. We are gonna get things rolling for you, so just have a little patience. But like, no, this dude didn't even establish that. He just was like, okay, so your phone number's been removed, you have a good day. And it's like, okay, whatever. So an hour later, I get another call from these guys, and I just said, fuck this. So I actually used part of my lunch break, and I got in contact with T-Mobile, and I'm like, I need help. Like, seriously, I can't. I told them what was up, and they were like, I don't know how many guys are aware of this if you have T-Mobile, but apparently T-Mobile, they now charge you when you want to change your number. You know, no longer is it a situation where, okay, we can change your number for free. No longer is it a situation where we'll change your number and we'll just, you know, it's a charge. We'll just add that charge to your account and you can just pay that next billing cycle. Now, when you change your phone number, they want that money off the break. I'm not sure how many of you guys were aware of that. I'm not sure if that's a situation where most phone carriers, cell phone carrier companies are doing that, or if it just depends on who you're with. But yeah, T-Mobile, they want $15 when you want to change your number, which I think sucks. And I told the representative, I said, look, I said, if you could put a notation by this old phone number that I had, you need to make a note that robocalls out the ass. Like, you all need to just be done with this number. Like, kick it to Sprint or somebody else. Like, you guys never need to use this number again because it's a very bad number. And she was like, okay, so would you like a phone number that's pretty easy to remember? I say, yeah, sure. I BS you not. So she gives me a phone number that literally has like the same first 3 digits, not the area code, but the next set of digits. She gives me like the next best thing of a phone number, and I'm going, oh my god, no. It's like, I don't even want to be in that bracket anymore after the area code and that number. I'm like, no. I say, I've gotten so many robocalls beginning with that area code and that first 3 set of numbers. It's like, no, I just want a completely different number altogether, but kind of easy to remember. So she went back in the database and she's like, well, how about this one? I'm like, okay, yeah, I can definitely do that one. That's cool. Surprisingly, I don't know if it's like this with AT&T and the other guys, but apparently T-Mobile cannot tell you how old a number is. I thought that was very interesting. Because I said to him, I said, look, I said, can you dig in the system? You know, can you find me a phone number that has been inactive for like 10 years or more? And she said, oh, I'm so sorry, Lee, but, you know, we don't have those capabilities. And it's like, why do you not have those capabilities? I can remember as late as 2000, 2001, and I still was pushing a landline. I could remember calling my phone company and telling them I wanted a different number, and them digging in the database and being able to tell me, okay, well, I've got this number and it looks like it hasn't been used. And like, wow, as like advanced as technology has progressed, like we're that back. That doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, robocalls, I'm with a lot of you guys. Robocalls, fuck robocalls, can't stand them. And if you haven't done so already, I mean, usually I give you guys some really cool fun tips and shit, but like, if you haven't done so already, register your phone number on the do not call registry, and then there's actually a section where you can go in, and any robocalls that you get, you can actually put in those phone numbers, any phone number that they try to keep calling you from. You know, you've reported one number, you've blocked one number, but they're coming at you with pretty much the same number, but they changed the last 4 digits. You can just keep reporting them. And honestly, if it's just like shit crazy and you just can't take it anymore and you like have no other choice, then you're just gonna have to go on ahead and change your number. I was very reluctant in changing my number. Like, I would block the numbers. I did my part. I blocked my number. I blocked their numbers, and then I have my phone on silent, as I always do when I'm at work. But like, if family friends call, they can actually get through. Other than that, my phone's on silent. So like, every time I turn around and I'm blocking these guys, these fucking pricks, they leave the voicemail. So my visual voicemail will activate, and I'm going, oh, now what the fuck? And I'm listening. I'm like, oh, another robocall voicemail. Great, fuck that. But I mean, other than that, week's going off pretty good. I binged like a motherfucker on the new season of Iron Fist on Netflix, Marvel's Iron Fist Season 2. And I gotta tell you, I'll talk about it a lot more on a special edition of 30 with Lee. And I'm looking forward to doing that. So shout out to you Patreon guys. That's what's going to be coming at you guys next this week. It's going to be an all new 30 with Lee. I'll probably lay down the audio for that Wednesday night. But just to summarize, I'll go a lot more in depth about this one 30, but just to summarize, I would have to say that every single problem there was with the first season, whether it came down to the complex, sometimes boring storyline of Danny Rand trying to take his rightful place and get control of his company and Rand Enterprises and all that, to, hi, I'm Danny Rand, like every freaking 5 minutes or whatever, or I'm the immortal Iron Fist. I mean, the script for the first season, we can all be in agreement that saw the first season of Iron Fist. It was very, very weak. You saw the potential in the characters, right? You definitely saw the potential, but it was just all very weak. The fighting choreographing, it really came off as if you were watching an episode of VR Troopers or maybe Power Rangers. I would have to say that with this second season, leaps and bounds of improvement. So if the first season of Iron Fist left a bit of a bitter taste in your mouth and you were a little bit on the fence with regards to the second season of Iron Fist, I would say to you guys, highly, I'm recommending the second season. Check it out when you guys get a chance. I mean, you're hooked on the very first episode, and I tell you, it lives up to the hype. It does live up to the hype. I was quite taken back. And for those of you RZA fans, because I know last season he had directed an episode of Iron Fist, he did not direct any episodes for this second season. So just a little bit of FYI, because I know we got some of you RZA fans that's out there. Binged on that, checked out a great first week of NFL action. How about the game of Aaron Rodgers? Let me put some respect on that man's name. Aaron freaking Rodgers. My God, that was just... I know some people are saying, man, he kind of went a little bit dramatic. Kind of went like a drama queen, kind of the LeBron James route with the way he was just, on that damn golf truck or whatever, golf cart, and they're basically driving him back to the locker room so they can check out what's going on with that leg. You look at his face initially and you see he's emotionally shaken up, and you're going, damn, this doesn't look good. I mean, I'm watching this in real time, and I'm going, oh my God, is this it? Is this it for Aaron Rodgers? Oh my God, like he was injured last season. Like, oh man, this doesn't look good. And like, whether you like Aaron, you hate him, one thing that we all can be in agreement on when it comes to the NFL season, that guy is one of like the top faces when it comes to NFL. There's a lot of people that, hey, Aaron's playing? Okay, I want to see what they're going to be doing, right? Him, I would say Drew Brees. I would definitely say that man up in Foxborough, Tom Brady, right? Love him or hate him. But like, you're going, oh, don't tell me he's going to be out again, because, these guys as a unit during these NFL seasons, they bring in a lot of good revenue, sponsorship, all that. They bring in a lot of good spotlight. So to see him injured, you're going, oh. But then he comes back out during the second half, and you're going, oh, okay, Aaron's back. He's actually going to try to play. Okay, let's see what happens. And for him to just put out there, look, I'm gonna do it like this. For him to just basically tough it out. Because look, he already got his money. Aaron could have easily just been like, okay, you know what? I want to take it easy. This is just the first week after all. We got a long season ahead of us. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to sit this one out. But like the ghosts of past and one Brett Favre, and you heard when he was giving the whole press conference and everything, he was talking about what it was like the 3 years that he was basically an understudy of Brett Favre, and he saw firsthand Brett Favre's toughness, his resiliency and all that, it was basically like, okay, look, you know, unless your legs basically, you know, broken in half or whatever, get your ass on out there and play. So I respect the fact that Aaron Rodgers could have easily just said, no, I'm done. But he went out there, he played, and not only did he play, but you talk about a serious comeback from behind victory. I mean, these guys were down, what again? They were down like 20 points or something like that, and he was able to basically bring them back. You're going, that's uncanny. That's like, yeah, the QBR rating was kind of crappy from 0 to 100. I think he ended up being somewhere around the 50 to 58 range or something like that. But I mean, fuck, man, fuck. Dude did fucking good. He really did. He did fucking good. I loved it. I loved his gameplay. Fantastic. Just fantastic. Got my respect tremendously. He has my respect tremendously. I see that Gruden and his Raiders, they lost. Not really surprised by that. A lot of analysts are saying it's the end of the world, or, you know, he's still out of. It's still early. It's only week 1. Seriously, it's only week 1. You know, let's have a serious discussion about where all these teams are, where the coaching and all that is. Let's have a serious talk, like maybe after week 4, hell, week 5 even. Then we can kind of, you know, I think it's even more interesting that Dez Bryant is still a free agent. Nobody wants this dude. I mean, that's a telling tale right there. I think, honestly, when you let it be known that you're pretty much a diva and you're prancing around up and down, yelling at people and, you know, acting all arrogant and not really acting like a team player and all that, yeah, that travels. That travels big time. But, you know, I thought for sure he was going to end up playing for the Cleveland Browns, and I'm just curious what happened. Why did things go south? Supposedly, Browns didn't offer him enough money. You know, it's one of those, well, look, we need to exactly hear it from the horse's mouth. We need to hear it from Dez's mouth as far as what went down with the Browns, why it did not work out. But it looks like nobody wants to touch Dez Bryant. I mean, that's a real telling tale. You thought Colin Kaepernick was something, and Kaepernick is for his own respected reasons, but to see that Dez Bryant is outside looking in, you know, you're kind of like, so what's next for Dez? You know, is it maybe a situation where I tell you this, I'll tell you this. I know we got the XFL. They're going to be launching in a couple of years. If Dez Bryant can't find no place to go, I'm telling you, for the right amount of money, might be a little less, just a tad bit less than the NFL. But I definitely feel that he would for sure have a future in the XFL. And honestly, if I'm the WWE right now, when I think of Dez Bryant is a showman in his own right. I honestly, if I were to pitch to Vince McMahon and crew, I would say, look, see how the rest of this season is going to be playing out for Dez, you know, and, you know, if nobody gets him this season, see if maybe you could secure a deal with him. Have him come on board for the XFL, you know. But yeah, real telling tale right there that Dez hasn't gotten the hook up. And of course, I got to show some love here with regards to the DMV, because we had the Redskins play. Alex Smith looking pretty damn good. I mean, my God, I got to give it up to AP, Adrian Peterson. My God, 160 rushing yards, got a touchdown. I wasn't sure if I was watching Adrian Peterson or if I was watching freaking Darryl Green. I mean, dude freaking was like a man possessed. Whether or not he can keep that up, though, he can be like that consistent. Like, not even about getting 100 plus rush yards. Can he just, like, every time he plays, can he average 75, right? Can he, I'll go a little lower. Can he average 60 to 75 and a touchdown is generated as a result. Whether he's the one that's able to do the touchdown or he's able to put the team in the position where they can get a scoring drive or whatnot, can he continue to deliver like that? And only time will tell. But I mean, he went out there like a man possessed, a man on a mission. And I tell you, for that first outing, looked really good. Going kind of back and forth, I'm just honestly off the top of my head talking about teams that kind of jumped out there at me. You know, I was just in Chicago, so it only serves right I talk about the Bears defense and what they were able to do to Green Bay. Khalil Mack, and man, like a freaking bulldozer coming after Aaron Rodgers like that, and basically making it a scary situation where you're wondering what's going on with Aaron. Bears defense was looking really, really good. I mean, at one point I tweeted out there, I said, shit, kind of reminded me of Bears of the 80s, the way they're playing. What the hell's going on here? Like, I'm liking what I'm seeing, but man, that Bears defense, very impressed. And I don't know the quarterback's name. I'm still kind of getting a little bit familiar with him. I see some potential. I legitimately see some potential. But that defensive line for the Bears, that is scary. That is freakishly scary. As long as the Bears defense can continue to play like that, man, that is a team that honestly, you know, sometimes it's all about defense. Good defense is what wins you a football game. And I'm telling you, with a good defensive line like the Bears, they keep playing like that, they can always have the game be within a striking distance of a victory. So, yeah, I can't wait to see more of the Bears playing this season. So, a lot of fun stuff that we had go down this weekend, too. Loved it, man. From football to Iron Fist. I mean, take your pick, man. A lot of fun stuff. So this week we've got the WWE Hell in a Cell pay-per-view that's going to be coming up. We'll go over the card, offer some match predictions in the later part of the show. Can we be in agreement with regards to Raw and SmackDown this week? There really wasn't anything noteworthy that you could take away from it. Both were pretty much throwaway episodes, quite honestly. I'm not saying that, you know, they were bad. They were just honestly somewhat throwaway episodes. Raw, for instance, it was interesting seeing Baron Corbin interact with the Shield after all the stuff that had went down last week. And Baron Corbin says to the Shield, hey, look, I'm not going to be having you guys running around here beating people up like you did to open up Raw this week. No. That ain't happening. I'll have you guys be arrested again. You guys aren't going to be going around calling rough shot. No, you know, that's going to stop right now. And the Shield's like, well, hell, what Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre have been doing the past couple of weeks, you know, almost kind of similar to what we're doing, and you haven't disciplined them. What the hell's going on with that? You know, like, don't talk about calling the kettle pot black. What the hell? Baron really didn't have any type of a comeback whatsoever. So you're like, this is kind of, yeah, it is looking a little bit one-sided there. But I like how later on we had saw pretty much the Shield split up, and it was basically Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins. They decided later on during the night they were going to get the jump on McIntyre and Ziggler after they successfully retained their tag titles over the B team. Just out of nowhere, jumped the hell out of those guys, and then Rollins, Ambrose run into Baron Corbin. He's like, hey, what did I tell you? You guys are definitely going to be going to jail. Rollins and Ambrose are like, no. You said the Shield. Like, we aren't the Shield. We're just Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. What are you talking about? It's like, we didn't do no Shield thing just now. And Corbin's like, you know exactly what I meant. What the hell are you guys talking about? Like, no, don't be playing all coy with me. And apparently they had a police officer from wherever Raw emulated from that night in their back pocket, as apparently Seth Rollins was willing to press some type of charges on Corbin. Maybe I missed something. I wish they would have expanded a little bit more on exactly what charges could have been coming to Baron Corbin. I didn't really necessarily catch that, but apparently Corbin really intimidated, worked out a little bit of arrangement with Ambrose and Rollins, and that pretty much was the end of that. Triple H came out, really boring promo that he cut this week. I get it. I get that WWE is trying to continue to hype up this super show down in the land. I'm sorry, land down under, Australia. I was thinking Men at Work, so that's why I had a little bit of a fumble there. But, you know, I get it. You know, they're trying to hype this up. This is about 3 weeks away now. But, like, that's not how I would have set that up. And I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree with me, especially when you hear what I had said on last week's show, which is available on demand and on the downloads. I made the suggestion that, no, honestly, who better to talk about this upcoming Triple H Undertaker matchup than the hardcore legend himself, Mick Foley? Who better than him to talk with Hunter and be like, you know, hey, you know, I really think you're making a big mistake going through with this matchup, you know, with the Undertaker. I just felt that would have been more magical. Personally, I just honestly felt that would have been more of an entertaining segment. I mean, I'm not sure how many of you were expecting Foley and Triple H to, honestly, before I even said anything on last week's show, I'm not sure how many of you were expecting that, but I know me personally, as soon as I heard, oh, Mick Foley's in the house, like, I thought, yes, Mick Foley was going to be plugging Hell in a Cell, but I also thought that Mick Foley was going to use the opportunity in storyline to talk about this feud, this upcoming matchup between Hunter and Taker. And the fact that it didn't go out there, you're whatever. So now we got Undertaker, because Raw's going to be coming to us from Texas. They're going to be fresh off of the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Taker's going to be popping up on Raw. They've already promoted him, so you're going, okay, well, hopefully this will be good. I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't know if maybe we can do a Undertaker Triple H stare down on next week's show. It would be great, but you know, one thing I want to say, Mick Foley. So Mick Foley basically reveals that for old time's sake, apparently Stephanie McMahon had asked him if he could book a match because Baron Corbin had his hands full or whatever. And Mick Foley made a match that's going to see Elias take on... God, I can't remember. Who's Elias supposed to be? No. Wait a minute. Finn Balor. That's what it was. Mick Foley had booked Finn Balor to take on Elias to pretty much close out Raw. But Mick Foley had revealed that after talking with Stephanie, he was going to be a special guest referee for the Hell in a Cell match between Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Kind of a no-brainer, quite honestly, especially when you think about the fact that Mick Foley is running around and he's talking about how, you know, it's the 20th anniversary of his Hell in a Cell match with The Undertaker and all that. So, you know, it coincides well, I personally feel. But, you know, one thing about Mick Foley that just trips me out over the years, and that's the fact that Mick Foley, I love Mick Foley. I do. And anybody that did not get a chance to check it out, it's actually available on the downloads and on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/the RCWR Show. You can actually find me and Tammy's review for Mick Foley's comedy, because he came here in the nation's capital a couple of years back, and he was at the DC Improv. And I met him. I met his daughter, Noelle. I'm telling you, if you get an opportunity to do some type of a meet and greet with Mick Foley, take advantage. It's definitely money well spent. Foley takes the time out to talk with you. You got some guys that basically like talk at you, not talk to you. Mick Foley is one of those cats that sincerely talks to you. He's definitely inquisitive. And his daughter, Noelle, she's super freaking friendly. What you see of her on social media really doesn't do her justice. She has a very warm, bubbly personality that you just find yourself latching on to. And if I do say so myself, she's even more stunningly, naturally beautiful in person as opposed to what you see of her online. And that's the God's to honest truth. No googling eyes or nothing like that. It's just straight up sincerity here. But I love Mick Foley, but I tell you, sometimes, and I know he's got to put emphasis on certain words, but you know, seeing Mick Foley go from 0 to 100 when he's cutting his promo talking to Elias this week, I couldn't help but laugh my ass off, because like I'm literally picturing Mick Foley, you know, just telling the story of himself in the grocery store, and he's fucking looking for a box of cereal. You know, he's just, so there I was, without a care in the world. I went to the store, and all I was looking for was a box of Honey Smacks, 'cause that's what I like eating every day. But you know something? On the way to the store, when I went to that cereal aisle, I didn't see any Honey Smacks. I didn't see any honeycombs. You know what I saw when I went to the cereal aisle? I didn't see any cereal. And it made me upset. And it's just like, Nick, he's up there, buddy. He's up. It's just cereal, man. It's just cereal, man. Seriously, calm the fuck down. Tell you what, go a couple of aisles down. Go get yourself a case of some Diet Pepsi or whatever, and just chill out, man. It's not that serious, you know. But yeah, it's always funny watching Mick Foley. He's just got this nice, calm demeanor, and you're just like, okay, I know it's coming. I know Mick Foley's getting ready to yell for just no apparent reason, especially like when the person he's talking to isn't even yelling at him, right? Like you know it's gonna happen. You know, you're a great talent. You're a great talent. But I want to know, do you have what it takes? You know, it's like, dude, why are you yelling? Like, calm down. Seriously. But I always love it when Mick Foley pops up on Monday's WWE Raw. I'd like to see him do a little bit more on SmackDown. But it seems like nowadays everybody is just Raw. And that is a telling tale, quite honestly, because, you know, we've almost kind of gotten to that point now where, at least the past couple of weeks, we've been accustomed to the return of the Attitude Era. You know, if you stop and think about it, you know, one week you got Undertaker, another week you got Taker, Shawn Michaels, you know, you got pretty much 2 weeks there where you got Triple H, and, you know, now you got Mick Foley, you've got the likes of Jeff Jarrett, you know, Edge, Christian, Ric Flair, all these cats chiming in on this upcoming Super Showdown matchup, right? You got Triple H going to be showing up, you know, probably. I know Taker's showing up this week, but I'm hoping they have Triple H pretty much like cross paths with the Taker on next Monday's Raw. We'll have to wait and see how that comes about. But it's interesting how they, you know, just kind of keeps going back and forth, how everything's kind of, and when you really stop and think about it, isn't that kind of sad a little bit that, like, when you look at where all the great emphasis is being applied right now, as far as, okay, we got to get this story arc popping, you know, we got to make sure that this makes sense on all cylinders, let's see what we can do with this. You know, it's interesting how so much emphasis can be put on the Triple H and the Undertaker feud, but then when you look at everything else that's happening on a 3-hour show like Raw, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's not bad, but I mean, can we be honest? Like, normally when you watch Raw, or even when you watch SmackDown, there's usually that one matchup that you can say, oh, well, that was the match of the night. Like, if there was ever a reason to watch Raw, if there was ever a reason to watch SmackDown, you know, it's because of this matchup. Oh, this was must see. right? I still remember a couple of weeks ago, we had that fantastic 5-star matchup that went down between Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. I mean, that was like pay-per-view quality type of action. And like, sadly, nothing followed up after that. So, I mean, usually you can count on 1 or 2 really good matchups, but we didn't get that the past couple of weeks, and it's been a little bit nerve-wracking for me. I don't know how it's been for you. You know, another thing I want to talk about here, I waited very patiently, and I'm not seeing anything just yet. I'm still kicking back, and I'm still waiting on the connection, which is, what exactly is the connection with AOP and this Maverick dude? I think of him as Rockstar Spud. You guys got to forgive me, because I still, you know, Drake Maverick, is that his name? Drake Maverick is like, I'm sorry, that's still Rockstar Spud for me. Okay, so he's the 205 manager, right? But like, he's managing AOP, and like, I just don't get that. I just don't. Now, like, visually, okay, yeah, that does look intimidating. Like, here's this small guy that's probably maybe 5'1" or 5 even, right? And you put him in the middle of these really 2 big guys. Yeah, that is a nice visual. I would definitely have to admit that. But like, okay, other than that, what else you got? And, you know, Drake Maverick had got a microphone last week. He cut a little something, but like, the answer was not explained why he was able to hook up with AOP. And you see that AOP and Maverick, along with some other key superstars from last week, they had a hand in beating down the Shield, and you're going, okay, well, definitely makes all the sense in the world. You know, we hear from Maverick and AOP on, you know, why they did what they did. You know, let's first hear from Maverick, and, you know, maybe he can shed some light on what led to him hooking up with these guys, right? But we still haven't crossed that threshold yet, which just leaves you kind of scratching your head, quite honestly. And to the point, like, you know, a lot of us were under the impression, and I never did bite that carrot. I never did officially go on record. I never did say, oh, you know, well, Paul Ellering, you know, if anything, I said, why is Paul Ellering not with AOP? Why was he separated from these guys? And somehow we had this mythical rumor that just spread it like wildfire that, oh, well, the reason why Paul's not with them is because apparently Paul Ellering doesn't like to travel. But like, Paul finally had shot all that down recently, saying, hey, no, I love to travel. I love nothing more than to be with those guys. So like, why the brass did not keep Paul rather with the AOP, I have the slightest freaking clue. But everything that worked so well for these guys, Paul Ellering was such an essential piece that they just have not been the same without him. Now look, I am familiar with the work of Maverick / Rockstar Spud from TNA. And if I gotta be honest, you know, under the right storyline, he does seem like one of those type of characters that you want to see him get his ass kicked, right? You want to see him get his ass kicked. He does, under the right story arc, have that kind of heat. He can generate that type of heat, you know, but at the same time, I gotta call it for what it's worth. I know there's a lot of people that love them, Maverick / Rockstar Spud, you know, but honestly, for me, I really enjoyed his work when he was partnered up with Brodus Clay, and he was briefly partnered up with Ethan Carter III, EC3. I just thought that worked perfectly. And why they haven't been able to kind of go back down that path just yet, slightest clue, maybe in due time. But I'm just not buying this right now. I mean, you, me, and everybody else can be here for 15 minutes going, well, no, they should have done this with AOP instead. You know, pair him up with this person, or let this person be his manager instead. Like, we can come up with a really great list, but Maverick, this is the guy that they're going with. Now, I'll tell you what was a smart move from the WWE, and we actually saw it this week. On Raw, they actually had revealed that Lio Rush is apparently the new motivational speaker, encouragement buddy, if you will, to one Bobby Lashley. And at first I didn't recognize him. I legitimately did not, because I'm going, wow, this guy's got all short hair. Like, who is that? And he took his glasses off finally, and I'm going, Lio Rush? Like, is that? Yeah, that's Lio Rush. Okay, great. We're now going to see him on main Raw programming. Okay, that's great. And I actually liked it. I mean, when I first see the guy, I'm smelling this a mile away where they're going with Lashley. And like, I've been on this show almost every other week saying Lashley needs some type of a mouthpiece. He needs some type of a edge to him. And here we have it in the form of Lio Rush. Notice Lio Rush, another small guy who, when you pair him up to a Bobby Lashley, Lashley looks so menacing. He looks like he could just destroy this guy with just one hand, maybe just one bicep, right? So you're going, okay, well, this is actually a pretty good pairing as well. And where Lashley is lacking in with the promos, oh yeah, Lio Rush can definitely come right in there, help him out. Like Maverick, Lio Rush can take him a serious ass kicking. I mean, he's going to be right up there with the Singh brothers, quite honestly. That's the type of ass kicking he's going to be able to take, and then some, right? So I like, as far as smart pairings go with what we've gotten in the past couple of weeks, I got to give it up for the pairing of Lio Rush and Lashley. Now, some people would say that maybe it's a little bit of a disservice to Lio Rush. And some may look at this as, oh, you know, Lio Rush is just being punished. He's being buried. They're still kind of getting at him for some of the stuff that he said on social media. And, you know, it looks like his wrestling career is now over, because look at how they're potentially going to be doing him now that they've paired him up with Bobby Lashley. And it's like, no, contrary to the point, I don't look at what they're now doing with Lio as a demotion in any type of way. You know, I look at this as a very valuable position, and not just helping get himself over and establish himself as potentially a really good manager, and maybe to that point where, you know, he might be able to build a nice little stable. Because, you know, honestly, I would love to see the return of stables. I really miss that. And I'm not talking about the Shield or the Nexus or the Core, you know, or New Day. You know, I miss those stables where, you know, it's pretty much like Jim Cornette, and, you know, he's coming out with the Midnight Express, or, you know, hey, here's Jim Cornette coming down with, you know, Yokozuna or whatever. You know, I miss those old school managers that would do any and everything to help out their clients. You know, the late Bobby Heenan with Kurt Hennig. You know, I miss that kind of throwback. So it's actually kind of refreshing and nice to see guys like Maverick and Rush kind of go into that type of realm in this modern era of pro wrestling. So I'm still very what the hell with Maverick, but I'm hoping that in the next couple of weeks, you know, honestly, I think like within the next 3 weeks, you got to do something with Maverick where he reveals how that union came about. As far as Lio Rush, that's pretty much self-explanatory. Now we just got to see Lio really sell on Lashley. One thing that they also need to do, going back to Maverick one more time, just stop having Maverick be in the armor. They need to just stop that. I mean, it just makes him look like a little kid, right? I don't think that's cool. I think if anything, go with something simple. Go with something very, very simplistic, which is just have him wear all black. That's it. Have him wear all black. You know, like if it was me setting this up and, okay, I'm stuck with Maverick as the manager for AOP, I would tell Maverick, okay, look, every time you come out, you need to be wearing all black. You need to be wearing a black t-shirt. You know, kind of like Metallica, you know, wear a black t-shirt, and then over that black jacket, you can wear yourself a nice leather jacket. You know, it can be a long leather jacket, or, you know, it can be a denim leather jacket or whatever, but you need to be wearing all black. And I actually would have him grow a little bit more facial hair and try to see if maybe we can get that just a little bit darker, just a tad bit darker. You know, put some rough, give him a little bit of rough. And other than that, that's really it. That's really it. He doesn't have to just talk on a regular basis, but I would definitely change up his look a little bit. I think his look needs to be drastically different from when he's in the managing position on 205. Of course, when he's on 205, you know, he's got the nice bow tie, nice looking suits and all that, you know, but I'm kind of picturing more of a, kind of like when Eric Bischoff was doing his thing with the NWO and all that. I'm kind of picturing a Maverick like that. So I think if they can try to do it more that way, as opposed to putting him in the AOP armor, I think that would help a good way. So we'll see how that comes about. Other than that, those are really the key points I want to talk about. Again, folks, this isn't your Raw full-blown recap. I keep telling you guys that, and I do appreciate some of you guys that are like, well, this match happened, and, you know, again, at the end of the day, it's like whatever comes to my mind that was really noteworthy to talk about, I will talk about. Like, for example, Renee Young, she has now been bestowed upon the full-time gig of being the Raw color commentator. So she now officially on a weekly basis will be joining Corey Graves and Michael Cole. I put the news out on Twitter like within the hour that I had first heard this news. Honestly, congrats to Renee Young. I saw a little bit of her work when she was up in Canada, and I was quite impressed with her work. Remembered when she first got signed by WWE, I thought it was a good grab for the company, and if I do say so myself, I think that with this selection that WWE Brass has done with Renee Young, they're putting themselves in a future, I feel, where they're building towards a really good future. I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that, and this should be a no-brainer by now, but I believe in my heart of hearts that I would say probably within the next 5 to 7 years most, Michael Cole, I think he's just going to slowly transition away from color commentating. And I think if anything, he may still be very hands-on with the talent backstage, helping them out, being in their ears and all that. But just kind of following up on what he said in an interview a couple of years back, seems like maybe 2 to 3 years ago, he talked about ultimately, you know, where he sees himself in the company in the next couple of years. And I still feel that Michael Cole is on that pace. I think when Mauro Ranallo had came on board, I think all signs were kind of indicating that Mauro was going to be the man. And I wouldn't be surprised if, because of Mauro's illness, that basically had kind of, okay, we got to reset. You know, now what are we kind of going to do here? And I think they've managed very well. I think Mauro, you know, given his hectic schedule as it is, Mauro is just perfect for NXT. I can't picture anybody else being the voice of NXT other than Mauro. Mauro is just, the heartbeat of NXT. He is what makes NXT so entertaining to check out. He tells the great riveting stories, and he's so loose, and I love that. I love that. Whatever they need to do to have him continue to do what he needs to do on NXT, do it. Work with the man. But as far as the flagship shows and all that, we experienced how that was. He was very restrained. That's not really Morrow. So let him thrive where he can really be himself, and he's able to do that in NXT. So with Corey Graves, yeah, the future's definitely bright. Corey Graves, honestly, I said it on Twitter. I said, no doubt WWE is putting themselves in a position where eventually Renee, Corey, it's going to be all on them. And I do feel that time is going to come a lot sooner rather than later, as far as your permanent Raw color team, like going into the next 10 years. I think it will get to that point, and I wouldn't be surprised if eventually it becomes a two-person table. I really never truly did understand a three-man booth. I just think that's just too much talking as it is. If Renee can really prove herself and really get the hang of it, she's been evolving, but now she's got to take it even a step further. And if she can get to that point, I definitely feel that, maybe in the near future, instead of it being a three-man booth, it can eventually be a two-man booth. Make no mistake about it, the past two times, let's call it for what it was worth, which was an audition that she had did for Raw, they were okay. She seemed a little bit, I won't say nervous, but it did kind of feel like maybe she was instructed, hang back a little bit, chime in here and there, but just kind of hang back a little bit. But I tell you what we got of her on this week's Raw, she seemed a little bit more animated. She seemed a little bit more vocal, which is good, but she still has a little bit of a ways to go. And she will get there. She will. Like, if I were to compare the work that she did this week to the other two times within recent weeks, I would say what she did this past Monday, better. For sure, better. But she still has ways to go for development. And she has shown to me over the years that she's been with the WWE that she does care about perfecting her craft. And I tell you, one good sign that I really love is when one is humble, and she's definitely humble. She knows she's not perfect. She knows that she has a lot of work cut out for her. I like that. The fact that she's saying those things and has said those things in the past, that lets me know, well, she's all right. She's going to continue to be on the right path. Look, we can all be in agreement that when you compare her to Jonathan Coachman, for whatever respected reason, Coachman was not able to capture lightning in a bottle like he was able to the first go round when he was part of the commentating team and everything. That just did not work out, sadly, this go round. And I think it's a no-brainer when you really stop and think about it. Like, 1 minute Coach is there, and then the next minute he's on assignment, he's doing something for the golf network and all of that. Eventually that just creates a situation where, okay, next man up, who's ready to step up to the plate. So you heard the criticism online that poor Booker T was getting, and eventually it's like, okay, Booker, well, we're going to go in this direction. So they go with Jonathan Coachman, and honestly, Jonathan never really found his stride when he was part of the Raw color commentating team. He would throw out these silly comments that just left you, if you're watching this and you're hearing this on your TV, you're going, why in the hell would he say that? Like, I still remember there was one spot where he was, I can't remember the opponents, but I remember one of the guys was in a bear hug. And Jonathan Coachman says, oh, see, he's in a good position right now because all he's doing is catching up on rest. And you have Michael Cole and Corey Graves light his ass up. They're going, what the hell are you looking at? What are you talking about? It's like, he's not taking a rest. He's in a bear hug. Like, what do you mean he's getting rest? He's like, he's having the air sucked out of him. Like, his ribs are being crushed. What the hell you mean he's using this moment to catch a break right now? And like Coach had nothing. Like he tried very hard to rebuttal Corey and Michael, but like no, like you're watching this on your TV and you're going, what is this dude seeing? Like, and then eventually that guy that was in the bear hug, somehow he's able to break the hold, and now he's down on his knees and he's catching a breather, and Jonathan Coachman is like, see guys, I told you he's taking a breather, and you're like, Coachman, please, dude, just stop. I mean, he would just say these silly, wacky WTF things that would just make you go, dude, what are you smoking? And like, can you put it down until the show is over? Because we need you intact right now. So, you know, it's sad that, you know, it's kind of funny when I think about it too, because those first couple of months that Coachman was back on board, it really kind of came off as if he was very dedicated to the Raw color commentating team. But then, you know, I would have to say within the past, kind of seems like 2, maybe going on 3 months, it's just assignment. And I'm sorry, but like after a while, like seriously, be honest with yourselves. You know, you keep calling out, or you keep, you know, you could say 2-3 days in advance that you got to go do something for this other employer. After a while, you know, that original employer, they're going to be like, well, look, you know, maybe we should go on ahead and go in a different direction. I mean, just be realistic. So the fact that this move had happened, honestly, I'm surprised that the move did not happen a lot sooner, right? So, but apparently he's not totally bon voyage just yet. Apparently he's going to be part of the Raw kickoff panel. So, you know, 9 times out of 10, we may still see him occasionally, maybe on some of the kickoffs. Who knows? You know, that could be possible. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we might see him on the Hell in a Cell kickoff pre-show this weekend. I mean, it's very well possible, but they're saying right now he's going to be part of the Raw kickoff. So I haven't watched that in so long. I remember when I did watch it, I would watch it out of curiosity just to see what it was about and everything, and it was like, this is okay. But like, other than that, it's not, oh my god, I gotta watch this. Like, it's must see. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know how Coachman is even going to handle that position. I mean, if I were to make a bold prediction, I feel as though with his commitments to things like the Golf Network, I think that workload is eventually going to pick up a bit more. And I will say that probably before summer of next year, don't be surprised if WWE parts ways with Coachman. Honestly. And yes, to Lee in the chat, he did work with ESPN for a significant period of time. That's correct. But don't be surprised if maybe he tries to go do something full-time for the Golf Network, or he just has his hands dipped into some other different projects that eventually sees him leave WWE altogether. But I'm just getting the vibe that something like that's going to be going down before next summer. So wait and see what happens. Talk about some other stuff that's been going down since last we were on the air. You guys enjoying the show so far? If you are, make sure if you have not done so already, you do subscribe. Keep it coming with those comments, like, share, retweet, all that good stuff. But do subscribe so you never miss out on all the great content that comes your way on a weekly basis. I see you guys are not having any issues right now with the stream. That is fantastic. I love that. I love that a lot. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Right now, I want to give a nod to one of our sponsors for tonight's show. We're partnered up with them for the next couple of weeks. Also want to give a nod to our Patreon members, because they are the heartbeat of the RCWR show. So much so that shows like what you're checking out right now would not be free. So we do appreciate our Patreon members. Let's start things off with our Patreon members, and then we'll go into our sponsor for tonight's episode. So, this episode of the RCWR Show is brought to you in part by our kind Patreon members. Shout out to the beautiful, the lovely Courtney Summers. She's got that new show that should be out now, Wrestling Metal Podcast. Again, the Wrestling Metal Podcast. Shout out to Michael Wolf, John Davis, Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Soup, and Joe Raymond Jr. This edition of the RCWR Show is brought to you in part by JustDoItAfraid.com. They are helping you by providing the best consulting tips and planning when it comes to student loans. Come on now, be honest with yourselves. A lot of us have been there, myself included. Lord knows, myself and my friends included. I remember when we all got ready to go into our first year in college. We had like all of these college recruiters come to us during our senior year in high school. Oh, you should come to our college, or you should come to our community college because blah, 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 blah. You know, and we had the teachers and we had some of these college recruiters point us in the direction of, okay, this is how you can get student aid and blah, 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 blah. But, you know, that information, that helping hand only went but so far. That helping hand only went as far as basically, okay, this is how you get the money, and then yeah, so you'll get in. Yeah, good, right? But like back then, nobody really prepared you for, okay, look, this is what's gonna happen, this is what you can expect, and this is how you can stay on top of these things by doing XYZ. And like to have the information today that's now available at your fingertips, to only have had that back then, right? So you have a situation where a lot of people, they are still dealing with old student loans that are now in default, or maybe you have those that are getting ready to embark on their first year in college and they're new to this whole student loan game. Their parents are as well. They want to make sure that they get the correct type of information. Even more the reason why you should go check out a site like JustDoItAfraid.com. And the best part about going to this site for great tips, consultation, is the person that you are getting help from, Dr. Linda. She's been there herself. I mean, she's worked in the student aid department, consultant, all of that. So you would definitely be getting some really good, solid info from one of the best. JustDoItAfraid.com. Really appreciate them working with us for the next couple of weeks. So let's see, where do we want to go with regards to this episode? I'm just looking at some of the show notes here, seeing some other stuff we can get into here. Yeah, I guess we can get into, I'm just looking at the show notes here. Yeah, let's do, I'm debating on whether or not I want to do Hell in a Cell right now. I'll come back to Hell in a Cell in a little bit. For you Sunny fans, Tammy, Lynn, Stych, just giving you guys a little bit of an update because everything has been relatively quiet with regards to her right now. Far as I was able to tell, Homegirl is still in custody. I'm not sure how many of you guys had, heard about this. But basically she was scheduled to go before a judge out in Pennsylvania late last month in August. I would have to say probably the third week in August. She was supposed to go see a judge, and that judge was going to determine whether or not she had violated her parole. So she's been incarcerated for close to 6 months leading up to when she was supposed to go see that judge. So she was charged with a fugitive from justice. That's the charge. Fugitive from justice, and charged with contempt, disobedience, resistance on February 27th. She was transported to her current location on March 28th. This was weeks after she failed to appear in court for not one but two DUI arrests that had took place on January 23rd and February 2nd of just this year. So she was processed for the charges in New Jersey. Authorities discovered she was a fugitive from justice in Pennsylvania after her February 2017 parole in Carbon County was revoked. Those charges stem from a 1-month span of time when she was picked up on May 30th, June 1st, and again on June 20th, if you all recall. She pled guilty to DUI in every case and once to driving without a license during the summer of 2015, if you guys recall. But the court dismissed the lesser charges in every instance as part of her agreement to plead guilty. So, you know, she's still in jail by the looks of it right now, and her social media activity, it has been gray. Nothing has been, or rather I should say black, like nothing has been going on, no active posts, nothing. Just thought I'd pass along that information to you guys in case you all were a little bit curious what was going on with her. You know, she is someone that we've talked about on the show from time to time. So I only thought it right to definitely clue you guys in on what's going on with her. Honestly, I would like to believe sooner or later one's luck runs out and that, okay, no, you're going to be doing some time, because it's obvious. And I mean, you look at the history, you look at the multiple times that, you know, I mean, wasn't it 2012, guys? 2012 or 13? Like, I mean, my God, I think it was like 6 times or something like that during that year. And you're just like, well, I was like, okay, so here we are. Like, fast forward, you know, 2018, like, damn, you're still having these problems? And, you know, it's like, when is enough enough? Like, the judicial system definitely needs to show tough love. They just have to. Like, you got to set an example that, like, this type of behavior is a no-go. You know, because my whole fear, my biggest fear is that, and I might sneeze, so you guys got to forgive me in advance. If I do sneeze, I'll just mute my mic real quick. But, like, you would be led to believe that, like, if she continues down this path, the end result could be a life being taken. I mean, heaven forbid. I mean, she's already proven that she's willing to operate a vehicle with a suspended license or a revoked license. So she's already proved that, okay? So, like, my biggest fear is, okay, she's behind the wheel of a vehicle she's got no business being behind, and she's intoxicated, and a freakish car accident happens, you know, where some lives are lost, or she hits somebody because she's intoxicated. Then it's like, and it should not even come to that point. So I would like to believe, and I'm only hoping that the judicial system, when they look at just the overall body of work, that they'll really bring it on home and they'll just hit her at all cylinders, and, you know, whatever the maximum is allowed, then that's what, you know, they'll hit her up with. And you guys got to forgive me, my allergies are like kicking my ass right now, so I'm gonna mute my mic real quick so I can blow my nose, okay? I don't want you guys hearing all that crap, so bear with me a quick second. You might hear a 5-second silence here. Okay, I'm good. All right. Damn allergies. I tell you, every time I get ready to do the show in this room, I really gotta, it's been a minute since I've dusted. So, I mean, I straightened the studio up pretty good, but I rarely dust. So, I usually wipe the area down for the studio setup here, but I usually don't get the ceiling fan and a couple of other things. So, my allergies are usually kicking my ass here. Anyway, you know, speaking of tough judicial system, look, man, this stuff that's been going on, I'm sure you guys have probably heard about it by now. I mean, we have been talking about this at my job like practically all week, and that's this craziness that went down with this police officer, what's her name, Amber Guyger. my God, that's crazy. That is crazy. When you just follow this story, and shout out to Heavy. Heavy is one of the guys, and NBC Washington as well. Those two, I would have to say, big shout out to them, because they've respectively pieced together in their own respective news reporting a really good in-depth timeline on everything that's just been going down with regards to this case. And I am just baffled. So, this police officer that has been working on the force for about, I would say, 4 years, maybe 5 years tops. She comes home, late one night or early morning or something like that. And, she parks on the wrong level. She lives on the 3rd floor, but instead she parks on the 4th level. Her apartment is on the 3rd level, yet she's on the 4th floor, and she goes to this door to an apartment that she thinks is hers. Her key fob is not working. She's banging on the door like a maniac or whatever, trying to, force her way into what she believes is her apartment. And then, this young black man, 26 years old, if I remember it right, a pillar to his community, goes to church, pretty good man of strong faith and everything, has a really good job, works at an accounting firm and all that. This was a young man that definitely was giving back to his community. This was I'm not making it about race. I'm not even going to make it about race. But sadly, at the end of this heartbreaking story, the fact that it's a black man, it is going to have a lot of people watching this case very closely. But just for right now, just everything that this young man, was doing with himself, a great pillar to his community. This is definitely somebody you could look up to and say, I want to be like this person, or hey, my kid or my kids, they can learn something from this successful person, because that's success walking down the street right there. You need to tap into that. And this guy is in his own apartment, and apparently he comes to the door. He's trying to respond to the commotion that's coming about. This police officer feels as though someone was in her apartment, and somehow they were rummaging through, and she shoots this person. And you're going, wait, what? And it's just weird. I'm still just baffled at this story that had came about, and I'm in shock. I'm in awe. One thing that I was telling a couple of friends and coworkers since this news came about over the weekend, I said, look, so you see how they got that red carpet on that young man's floor as you're making your way to his apartment. You see how there's that red carpet, kind of like a welcome carpet. Like, how long has that piece of carpet been there? Because that's a very distinct color. Like, you see the other apartments, they don't have anything like that. They've got similar little setups. So like, I'm going, how long has that piece of carpet been there? Because if that carpet was there the night of this shooting incident, then it's kind of like, what the fuck? How do you miss that? And then you have that, significant gap period where my allergies are kicking my ass again, guys. Hang on real quick. And then you have the situation there where, this guy is shot, and then you have such a gap. Like, this girl does not immediately call, I shouldn't say girl, let me refer to her as, police officer, give her proper respect. This police officer has a little bit of a gap in time from when she commits this disgusting act to calling 911. And then, rather than the police and everybody else like automatically detain her, take her downtown, book her, process her, and all of this other stuff, like, you have X amount of hours that goes by where, okay, where is she? What's going on with her? And, you know, a warrant has to be put out there for her arrest or whatever. State troopers are now getting involved, all this crazy crap. And like, you hear how eventually she turns herself in, but that, like, rather than stay in jail until it's time for her to see a judge, you know, she's able to, what, go out on bond or some shit like that. And you're going, wait a minute, in what society does this, wait, what? Anybody else? Like, no, they'd stay in jail. No, hell no. What the hell? And it's just heartbreaking to just hear the circumstances. Now, see, some people are saying that, and I wasn't even aware of this until earlier today. Apparently, there's a picture of her with this young brother, and some are under the impression that maybe they were in some type of a relationship together, and that it was basically a relationship that went south. Who knows? Maybe he was the one that wanted to end it. Who knows? You know, that's just so much speculation there. What I'm more interested in is from the time that she did what she did to when she was obtained, like, is there any obstruction of justice going on? You know, was she intoxicated? You know, did they do any toxicology reports? I like that type of, I got an inquisitive mind like that. I want to know what's going on with those specifics, right? But one thing that I had been very quick to tell my friends, and I definitely really want to stress this to you all, the RCWR Nation, I would be paying very close attention to this case for the simple fact, I remember living in California when the Rodney King verdict was read and how the riots had came out shortly afterwards. I'm telling you guys, mark my words, history is going to be defined by this case in particular, because if a conviction is not successful, I'm telling you guys, there will be riots. Now, anybody can say to you, oh, well, you know, there's going to be, you know, Black Lives movements, and there's going to be all this other stuff that's going to be, anybody can hit you up with that shit. But I'm telling you right now, if a successful conviction is not obtained for this particular case, and I agree with Shaba, who says the story is fishy. There's a lot of things in this story that just do not sound right. If a conviction is not obtained, I feel that there is going to be serious ramifications from the public. It doesn't matter if it's black, don't matter if it's white. Will it be a majority of black people that will be upset? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I would like to encourage my brothers and sisters to have the restraint and, you know, do not riot. But I just really, I have this sick feeling in my stomach. I can feel it in my bones that this could be a Rodney King, you know, the LA riots, you know, for this generation, if they're not able to get a conviction. I really do. So I hope I'm wrong. And I hope that, you know, I hope that as far as the rioting and all that goes, if there's no conviction, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong that a riot will come, because that's the last thing I want to see. I saw firsthand the rioting in LA, and it was scary. You know, we were barricaded, me, my mom, my grandmother, my aunt. We all were barricaded in our apartment for about maybe 4 days, you know, until we had heard that, oh, okay, it's now actually, no, about a week. I want to say almost about a week before we got the okay that, you know, all right, everything kind of seems to be back to normal, and like so much damage was done during those streets. It was just, I mean, you thought what had went down in Baltimore couple of years back was bad. I think what could be coming about with this particular case, you know, and when you stop for a moment, this is why Colin Kaepernick took a knee. It's this type of stuff that went down with this police officer. You know, that is why. the hell with whether or not this young man was black. He could have been a Puerto Rican. He could have been Chinese. He could have been white. You know, that's what I'm talking about with regards to social injustice, what I've been saying on this show. You know, the social injustice, you know, anybody has seen Serpico? I mean, it's like what we've been experiencing with these cops in the past 5 years. You know, it's like fucking Serpico 2.0, right? And I would just, maybe that's a movie I should review on a future edition of 30 with Lee, because it just seems like Al Pacino's Serpico is so current in today's day and age. It really, really does, when you just look at all the bullshit that's going on with some of these corrupt officers. And then you look at the history of this police officer who, same girl, same woman, you look at her history where she had shot somebody a couple of years ago. Now, you look at the reports, apparently this was a bad hombre, but like, that's even questionable, what she had did to that individual, right? So I don't know. I don't know, but history will be chronicled with regards to this moment, and I think that this is going to be a true defining moment in American history, because with race relations being at an all-time high right now. Maggie, calm down. I got my dog barking in the background, and she is just always messes up my train of thought. Anyway, but what was I saying? Yes, I was saying that. No, I can't remember because she threw my. I got a brain fart. Sorry, guys. Live on the air, it happens. What was I saying last? I hate that. And my headphones are so fucking sensitive, so like I can hear like what's happening downstairs. Like it's super. I got like that Superman hearing. I can't remember what I was trying to say. I know I was talking about the case. Bad hombre. She did what she did to that one guy. Yes, I was basically saying that history is really going to be defined with this particular case, because with race relations being at an all-time high as it is. I mean, there's a video that's floating around on the web right now where there's this white guy that is refusing to let these young black college students into an elevator, because as far as he's concerned, they don't live there and they don't have an elevator key, and he's not getting on their elevator. And they're like, we do have an elevator key. What are you talking about? And the kicker, the guy doesn't even live in the building. Like, the people that are in charge of the property, they actually were able to establish this. So this was a bad dude that was just looking to stir up some trouble. And it turns out he had showed off a gun. Like, okay, dude, there's only one of you, and there's like about 4 to 5 of those guys, probably anywhere from 14 to 17. You ain't gonna be able to take all of them down, right? So you're going, whoa, but like, no, like race relations are just at an all-time high right now. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. And I think the outcome of this case in particular could be that true tipping point. So I definitely would implore you guys, if you have never heard of this story before with this police officer, learn everything you can, pay very close attention to it, because I'm telling you, it's a moment. It's definitely going to be a moment in history. Switching up, let's go back to a little bit more wrestling news here. So I'll have a little bit to say about 9/11. I haven't forgotten that it's 9/11. I'll come back to 9/11 in just a hot minute. CM Punk, he made the news, and he recently gave a interview. He's been doing a good number of interviews all this week because he's promoting the new season of Beastmaster. And recently he had talked about what's going on with him and pro wrestling. In particular, returning to pro wrestling. How come he did not show up at the All In events? And this was just very, very kind of eye-opening. So he recently had appeared on ESPN's The MMA Show. And with regards to whether or not the door is open for a pro wrestling return, CM Punk had said he's not interested in returning to pro wrestling, stating that nothing interests him there. And I quote, "To me, that's an escape hatch. I've got season 3 of Beastmaster on Netflix, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that we get to move forward and do a season 4. Aside from all the stuff that I can talk to you about, there's all this secret stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about that I am doing too. It's not even a matter of not going to wrestle because I'm busy doing other stuff. There's just nothing that interests me in wrestling." Let's repeat that again for you guys. I'm busy doing other stuff. There's just nothing that interests me in wrestling. And he added that he has not received any offers from any wrestling promotion since his one-sided UFC 225 loss to Mike Jackson back in June, but he noted that he's a hard guy to get a hold of. And with regards to the All In event in Chicago from this, well, now almost 2 weeks ago, he said that he couldn't have been at the show even if he wanted to because he was shooting for a movie that day, but claimed he was never made an offer to be at the show. He said, and I quote, "I was never made an offer to be there. They said, hey, if you want to come, you should come. I was like, okay. Oh, okay. It was extremely vague. It wasn't an offer." So this is a serious contradiction, and that's why we're talking about this here on the show tonight. This is a serious contradiction because one of the interviews that Cody Rhodes had gave, and I sadly don't have the show or the outlet in which he spoke to, but there was one publication outlet that Cody Rhodes spoke to a couple of weeks ago where he said that Cody said that a full offer was made to Punk for the show, although it wasn't necessarily for a match. And he said, and I quote, "Matt Jackson actually made a full offer or full pitch for his services, and I think Punk is focused on the mixed martial arts element of his career. One of the reasons we didn't first come out and say, here's who we want you to wrestle, because I think we just wanted him to be part of the event for a lot of fans. He's captured their imagination even with the amount of time he's been gone. He has a mythical presence to them. I thought it would be good for him to connect with them, but that's me, you know. Nobody owns Punk but Punk, so if he wants to do mixed martial arts, go for it. He was always very nice to me and helpful to me in OVW. I always looked at All In with the perspective that it's all about present and future of the industry and not really about cheap pops, even though I'm sure there'll be plenty of those on the show. Matt reached out to Punk and made him a real offer. I think Punk is set on not being part of it." So very, very conflicting reports right there. You know, you got Punk saying one thing, and then you have Cody and Matt, you know, they're saying their own respected thing. You know, who exactly is accurate here? You know, who's actually telling the truth here? You know, you're kind of led to the impression that this is a tricky one because, you know what? I think it's a no-brainer. I just gotta hear me out for a second. Hear me out for a second. When Punk has done wrong, I have very, very in good fine detail expressed why I felt Punk was wrong. And when I feel Punk is in the right, I've definitely went to bat and said, okay, I'm with Punk for these reasons. I think when you honestly look at the track record that Punk has been setting for himself, living his life, it's just pretty much no holds bars. I'm just going to live life as I see it. I'm not tied down. I'm just going to do what I want, go where I want to go, do as I please, where I please, and that's it. Okay? So to lie about something as simple as, you know, hey, yeah, there was an offer to do All In, but I said, you know, whatever. I'm honestly under the impression that there was loose talk. That's one thing I definitely want to establish. I do believe that there was loose talk about him appearing at the All In event. But let's be honest. It would be like me coming to you and saying, oh my God, I would so love to have you at this Metallica concert. And yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, man, this person will perform, this person will perform, and I don't really know what we can do with you, but I want to have you be part of it. And you're kind of like, okay, yeah, that sounds kind of, what are you thinking exactly? Well, I don't know yet, but I just know I want you to be part of it. Okay, well, you know, you come up with something cool, let me know, and yeah, I'll think about it. So I definitely feel that there was, hey man, since we're going to be in Chicago, man, it would be really awesome. But like, since there wasn't really a sit down, that's the impression that I'm kind of getting here. I'm kind of getting the impression from all of the men involved in this story that there was never really a sit down, whether it's in person or it's over the phone. There was never a sit down to really hammer out, okay, look, these are the ideas that we're having. This is what we would like to have you do. Okay, well, from a wrestling standpoint, could you maybe entertain working with this person? Or, hey, look, you know, maybe not from a wrestling standpoint, but maybe as far as cutting a promo, could you maybe see yourself doing something like this? I don't think they really got that far into really brainstorming. And as a result of that, it's just kind of left in the air. There's this idea, but you know, nobody's really sitting down trying to make something be materialized. It's like, okay, well, what do you think it's going to happen? That eventually is going to slip through the cracks. So when it slips through the cracks, you can forget about it. And I think ultimately that's what happened. I think Punk was a little bit keen on the idea, but I'm under the impression that since nothing was really banging of an idea, it was just loose talk. Okay, well, I'm going to keep doing these other projects. I'm already tied up to these other things. Let me keep my commitments to those. And that's pretty much it. That's how Punk slips through the cracks. So that almost kind of matches up to what I had mentioned on, and I don't know if you guys had checked that out yet, but there was a special edition of Wrestling with the Topics that is available in the downloads. Me and Tammy actually had talked about the trip to Chicago, meeting CM Punk. I've been receiving a lot of good feedback from that episode. Check it out when you guys get the opportunity. It was actually a really good show to do. It was like 2 hours and 42 minutes long, but I mean, there were so many elements. I mean, we talked about the CM Punk meet and greet. We talked about the experience being out there in Chicago, and it was like one funny ass story led into another. So it was awesome doing that show. But like, it matches up to what I had said on that particular show, which was Punk looked very tired. And I had said, you know, it looked like maybe the vibe I was getting was maybe he had a rough night before or something like that, right? And you know, I wouldn't be surprised as far as like media obligations, filming, and whatever else that he probably was doing. Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if he was a little bit tied up with some other stuff. But you know, it just really even puts more shadow. It puts even more, okay, you know, Cody, Young Bucks, what's really going on here? Because one can jump out there and make the story of, you know what, were you guys just kind of stringing folks along, kind of giving them false hope that Punk was going to be at this event? Like Jim Ross was, you know, pretty vocal about CM Punk not being there recently on his podcast, and I saw what he had to say about some of the matches from All In, especially when it came to the tag team matchup to close out the show. I mean, all of us were a bit upset that the match ended after about 11-12 minutes. We all got gypped, quite honestly, you know? And that's a no-brainer that more time was given. All you had to do was just watch the matches, and when you saw what you saw with the final matchup, you can easily had put 2 and 2 together and said, hey, yeah, something did go wrong with the other matches. Some of those other matches did run a little bit too long or whatnot, you know. But I'm like this. If the guy doesn't have that fire in his belly right now to come back to pro wrestling, then that's him. That, you know, that's on him. I think it's you know, who are we to judge? You know, it happens. You fall out of love with what you thought was your main hobby, what you thought you were going to be doing for the rest of your life, and then you decide, okay, you know what? I want to go into other things. You know, it just feels like it's time. You know, I know I'll always have this in my back pocket. I know if push comes to shove, this will always be in existence. I can always fall back on this if push comes to shove. But for now, I just want to go test out the waters, and I want to go see what else I'm good at. So let me just leave this alone. And excuse me, it happens to the best of us. So all the best to him. I know he's going to be participating in a Comic-Con event or something like that that's going to be coming up. I'll give you the dates on next week's show, but my God, he's going to be partnered up with a horror comic book writer or something like that, because they're working on some horror movie that he's doing, if I remember it right. So I'm just picturing how that Q&A portion is probably going to go down. When are you coming back to the WWE? Are you ever going to come back to pro wrestling? Why are you and Cole Cabana no longer friends? I mean, can you just picture that fucking poor director, writer for that movie that CM Punk and AJ Lee are going to be in? Can you just picture fucking CM Punk just like getting those type of questions, and the director is just sitting there kind of going, sheesh. They're definitely going to need a moderator to really come in there and clean everything up for them. That's for real, man. Let's see. Vince McMahon is going to be releasing a tell-all book. I don't know how many of you guys had heard about this. It's kind of funny too, because I remember on this show, like last year, we had talked about the idea of who would be in a biopic for Vince McMahon, and I remember we did like all the castmates and all that. I got to see if I can actually dig up that audio again. But Day Street Books, which is an imprint of the William Morrow Group at HarperCollins Publishers, they had announced within the past 2 weeks that they will publish the first oral history of WWE, written by journalists Craig Marks and Rob Tannenbaum. And they will describe how WWE became one of America's most successful and enduring businesses. The two will have unprecedented access to the company's chairman and CEO, Vince McMahon, who transformed a regional professional wrestling business into a global media entertainment empire. This is basically the press release. The authors will interview current WWE superstars as well as legends from the past, writers, producers, managers, business executives, and celebrities who've made guest appearances. This will be the most revealing look yet at the innovative and fearless McMahon in his own words, his family words, and the words of those who've worked with or against him over the past 50 years. So I'm actually looking forward to this book. I would imagine that, you know, and see, the main question with regards to this book right now, just how much of this is really going to be accurate. Like, you know, yeah, tell all, okay, that's great, but like, you know, how much of this is really going to be accurate? Is it going to be alternate facts, you know, or is Vince really going to be going, you know, uncensored, you know, all balls out? Only time will tell, but, you know, it definitely piques my interest. I'm looking forward to reading it. Right now, I am still reading my Shinsuke Nakamura book. That's been a good read. I've been reading that to and from work. And it's funny hearing some of the stories about Shinsuke. Right now, I'm at the part where he's arrived in Los Angeles. And he's pretty much, he doesn't know what's going on in New Japan. You know, pretty much now he's working over here in the U.S. I think he's working with, I can't remember the promotion he's working for while he's out in L.A., but he just got a car. Because apparently he was nagging one of his friends to, you know, teach him how to drive. And the friend was saying, oh, no, the insurance, blah, blah, blah. And like Antonio Inoki checked in with him and was asking him if he had everything that he needed, and asked him if he was driving yet. And he said, no, I'm not driving yet. And they were able to hook him up with some wheels. And then he started driving around and everything. And it's a great read so far. I mean, it's a short read, but, you know, it's hard for me to sit down and actually read because I'm always doing other stuff. So, but I'm about halfway done with that book. I'll definitely be able to talk about that in a brief review in the coming weeks once I have that wrapped up. Probably about maybe 2 more weeks and I'll have it wrapped up. Let's see, what else can we get into here? I'll save that for a YouTube exclusive. I was going to talk a little bit about Shawn Michaels, but I'm going to save that. I'll save that one. Oh, did you hear about the NXT Buffalo event from last week that was pretty much going into the weekend? Luke Harper had actually showed up. He made a surprise appearance, and he had took on Ricochet for that NXT. What is that title that Ricochet is holding? The NXT American Championship. I think that's what Ricochet is holding. North American Championship. Heard it was a really great match. And, you know, honestly, it's nice to see that WWE is doing these surprises at some of their house shows and everything. I've been saying that for years, that when it comes to certain WWE live events, certain house shows, you know, make it be an experience where, oh my God, you weren't there? Well, look, this is what you missed. You know, you really should have been there. They need to do this type of stuff more often. Makes it that much more enticing to maybe want to go, because you go with the notion that any and everything can and will happen at a live show, house show event, right? Makes a lot of sense in the world, man. All right, let's talk Hell in a Cell here, man. So we got this card coming up. Hell in a Cell, going to be coming to us from San Antonio, Texas, at the AT&T Center. So coming up this Sunday, September 16th, we got about 8 matches here. Nothing for the pre-show just yet. Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler taking on Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, tag match for the Raw tag titles. McIntyre and Ziggler have been on a roll so far. I gotta admit, I really have been liking the pairing. The pairing's actually been growing on me a lot more. I'm like now at that point where, you know, I used to moan and groan, you know, oh, not this dude, you know, when it came to Dolph Ziggler, but now I've really started coming around. I kind of feel as though the brass is really getting behind this stable of Ziggler and McIntyre, and I just don't see on this night the tag titles changing hands, and with Survivor Series right around the corner, I honestly at this point would not be surprised if McIntyre, Ziggler, maybe with the Authors of Pain and Braun Strowman were in some type of a Survivor Series elimination matchup against the Shield, maybe Finn Balor and maybe Bobby Lashley. Maybe you could put him in there as well. I would, or you know, you could actually do Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, maybe Baron Corbin, so Baron can kind of one side and then Finn Balor on the other side. You know, maybe you could actually do a 4-on-4 elimination tag team matchup, 4-on-4, 5-on-5, whatever the difference is. But these guys actually been on the roll, so I'm not really convinced that Ziggler and McIntyre is going to be dropping the titles this Sunday, so I'm going to stick with them. Will Braun Strowman be a little bit of a factor based on how we saw Raw go off the air? You can't help but wonder if maybe he's going to try to come to the aid of his new boys, his pack, right? His dogs. See, we got Charlotte Flair. She's going to be defending the SmackDown Women's title against Becky Lynch. Not just yet. Not just yet. I'm still enjoying the chase, and I've been saying it on this show for the longest time. The chase is better than the catch. I'm not quite there yet with Becky. I still love the chase right now. I'm just picturing how this match is going to go down. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe this match had ended in a countout between the two. Some type of a count out. Both of them are counted out. Or maybe it's a situation where Becky's not able to get back into the ring in time and Becky gets counted out, and you know, either way Charlotte still has the title, but I'm seeing something come about where Becky Lynch comes out to set up the next batch of weeks of SmackDown program, and talking about how the only reason why Charlotte still has that title is because she was saved by the bell, no pun intended or whatever. But I'm not seeing it as clear cut on Sunday. I mean, it's definitely going to be a one-on-one matchup. I'm not seeing any type of interference whatsoever, but I'm seeing some type of a count out or a disqualification. I'm not seeing Becky Lynch like lose her cool to the point like all she wants to do is inflict pain on Charlotte, because the story that has been told so far is Becky is going to do any and everything to, you know, get that title off of Charlotte. So I'm not seeing her do anything boneheaded to get herself intentionally disqualified. But somehow I am seeing a DQ, either a DQ or a countout. Jeff Hardy taking on Randy Orton, Hell in a Cell matchup. Oh, we got like 2 Hell in a Cell matchups. That's good. Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, Hell in a Cell. Just a straight up one-on-one matchup. Interesting. You know what? I'm going to say Orton. I'm going to say Orton, because the way this story has been told so far over the course of the past couple of weeks, Randy Orton is on this mission where, you know, he's basically trying to, he's not really the legend killer per se, but like the heroes, the idols that the WWE universe look to, right? Like he is making it a mission to tear them down, right? One star at a time. And right now his infatuation is with Jeff Hardy, okay? So keeping that in mind, you know, the way this story has been going, you would like to believe that maybe Jeff Hardy is maybe going to get the one up on Randy Orton, but I'm not quite seeing that. I'm honestly not. And I got to be honest, seeing my man Jeff Hardy come out there week after week, physically beaten down, barely pulling himself together. I mean, he's moving a little bit better than his brother Matt, but like, if there was ever a time to kick on back, recharge the batteries a little bit, if there was ever a time to pull the trigger and temporarily write Jeff Hardy out of SmackDown, I just kind of have this spidey sense that this is the match. This is the opportunity where you can temporarily write Jeff Hardy off. I actually would be surprised at this point if Jeff Hardy is still with SmackDown pretty much going into the October pay-per-view. I actually legitimately would be surprised, because honestly, I'm just really getting this vibe that he's going to go away for a hot minute. So I hope I'm wrong, but actually, no, I really don't hope I'm wrong, because I really want him to recharge a little bit. I know that there's a lot of fans out there that probably don't want that to happen. They want to continue to see Jeff, but, you know, we got to give Jeff as well as Matt a lot of credit. I mean, they were running pretty hard since they've come back to the WWE, and, you know, I think now more than ever, especially with the holidays coming up, you know, yeah, give them a little bit of a recharge. I'm seeing Randy advance, and then as far as like, okay, well, what could potentially happen next? I think maybe you could have Randy slide after taking out Jeff Hardy. Maybe you could have Randy move on, reignite a feud with Daniel Bryan. I mean, I do remember when those two had faced off. I actually had enjoyed the program that they had, where, contrary to how some people might have felt when they worked together a couple of years back. Let's see. Ronda Rousey's taking on Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's title. Rousey, hands down. Rousey. Let's get to that one last. Actually, no, let's go ahead. Let's get to that one. We'll do this one, then we'll go to the other one. Daniel Bryan, Brie Bella taking on The Miz and Maurice. I'm going to go Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella. Because didn't Miz win the... Yeah, Miz won pretty much at SummerSlam. Miz won at SummerSlam. I'm going to say Daniel Bryan and Brie will win this one. New Day takes on... Am I reading this right? New Day takes on Rusev and Aiden English for the SmackDown tag titles. Shit. If there was ever a time I so want to pull the trigger on Rusev and Aiden English so bad. God. New Day, man. Come on. They just became the 5-time tag team champions, man. We can sell some great new merch. Oh, man. I want to say Rusev and Aiden English. I'm just thinking realistically. What I would like and what's going to happen are two different things. What I would like is Rusev and Aiden English. Because that's good bragging rights. You know, hey, storyline wise, hey, they defeated 5-time tag team champions, giving it up to Rusev and Aiden English. You know, they fought a really good, you know, tag team there. But nah. And then you've got the Bar somewhat in the background there that eventually is going to slide on in their feud with the New Day. Yeah, I'm going to say New Day retains. Let's see. AJ Styles takes on Samoa Joe, WWE Championship. Man, tough one. This is a tough one, guys. This is a tough one. Damn. That's a tough one. Damn it. I want to say Samoa Joe. I really want to say Samoa Joe. WWE 2K19 comes out, what, October 9th? history has shown that WWE doesn't really like to change titles like weeks, a month before their video game drops. You know, they like to try to have it be as current as humanly possible. So I'm kind of having that in the back of my mind right now. Samoa Joe been chasing after AJ for the title since what, SummerSlam? And this is technically like Act 2. This is a close one to call. This is a close one to call, man. Seriously. Because so far, I've got New Day retaining. I've got Ronda retaining. I'm going to go for some shock and awe. I'm going to say Samoa Joe. I'm going to say Samoa Joe. Now, how's he going to get it done? Boy, that would be something if they kind of went back to his old NXT days and he just chokes some motherfucker out and he pretty much gets the title that way. That would be something. Yeah, I want to switch it up. I'm going to go with Samoa Joe. New WWE champion. Just to create a little bit of shock and awe. Set up your next batch of weeks of WWE programming. See, what's our next one here? I got every other match out the way except for Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, Hell in a Cell match for the Universal title, Mick Foley, special guest referee. Roman got the title at what, SummerSlam? I'm just picturing this match in my head and I'm playing it back and forth and I'm seeing two big bulls just come together. Yeah, two big bulls come together, slugging it out. Mick Foley at some point takes a bump. I don't think they're going to do anything fucking crazy as far as, you know, they've been doing this Hell in a Cell stuff for the past couple of years, overhyping it like a motherfucker, and, you know, it's coming up so freaking flat. You know, we're not going to see another Mick Foley thrown off the top of the steel cage or whatever. We're not going to see that, but I can see some type of a really cool spot where maybe Roman does a freaking spear to Braun Strowman and it sends both of them crashing through, breaking down one of the steel cage walls. I can see some wicked shit like that coming about. That would be kind of awesome. And maybe that is how you actually have Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose enter to try to help Roman retain the championship that way. But then you also got to wonder if McIntyre and Ziggler are going to get involved as well. I think, honestly, if I'm booking this, the match, it's going to stay contained inside. We're going to see some really cool spots where Roman or Braun's face, it's going to be, you know, taken and just rubbed across the steel cage. I can see some stuff like that coming about. I can see a spot maybe where somebody's going to be climbing the cage and on the inside, that is, somebody's going to be climbing the cage and the other person tries to go up for them, pulls them down, maybe a power bomb here and there. But I think what's really going to be the telling tale, one of those steel cage walls is going to open up. Maybe that is a result of Roman doing a spear. But as a result of that, that's when we're going to see McIntyre, Ziggler come out. They're going to try to help. Then we're going to see Ambrose, Rollins. They'll come out. Going to be nothing but a damn slugfest. That's how I'm picturing it all coming about. But yeah, no, I think the way this is going to end, it's going to be the Shield standing tall, protect their brother. I got Roman holding on to that title. Now, see, you guys are probably going to be like, damn, Lee, are you really like, so that's it for Braun? Well, look at it from this standpoint. Just because Braun cashes in the Money in the Bank contract and he loses on Sunday, it doesn't mean that's the end of Braun. It doesn't mean that whatsoever. Braun will always be a goddamn contender for that title. I'm just kind of going with the direction of this current story arc, and the way I'm kind of picturing it right now. Yeah, I'm just not totally convinced that Braun is going to walk out as the champion. I'm just not seeing it just yet. I think instead what could potentially end up happening is maybe Braun Strowman wins the Royal Rumble and he faces Roman Reigns for the title that way. I can maybe see something like that coming about, contrary to some of those loose reports that's floating around right now, talking about how potentially Dwayne The Rock Johnson might come back and win another Royal Rumble just so he can face Roman. Yeah, no, thank you. I'm not buying. I'm not buying into that one. You can forget that. All right, so let's recap. I've got Ziggler, McIntyre retaining the Raw Tag titles. I've got Charlotte. Somehow she manages to retain the SmackDown Women's title. Count out, DQ. I've got Orton over Hardy. I've got Ronda Rousey over Alexa Bliss. Wouldn't be surprised if, with regards to that Ronda Rousey, Alexa Bliss, where there's Alexa, there's usually Mickey. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Natty tries to come out. If maybe the Bella Twins try to come out and help out Ronda or whatever. Because now you got to start planting the seeds going into that Evolution pay-per-view event. And they kind of did a little something on last week's Raw, where the Bellas had said to Ronda, hey, look, if you need any fashion advice, we're your girls, remember, we got to hit reality shows. So, if you want some help with regards to more entertainment projects, we're your girls. So they're already trying to rub elbows with Ronda, but she's not really jumping on that bandwagon. So you got to set something up to pretty much set up the Evolution pay-per-view event. So whether it's a situation where Ronda is celebrating in the ring with Natty and the Bellas, and then they just like jump on from behind or whatever. You got to get something rolling with regards to that. Let's see, Daniel Bryan, Brie, I got them over Miz and Maurice. I've got New Day over Rusev and Aiden English. I've got Samoa Joe actually becoming the new WWE champion, and for the Hell in a Cell match for the Universal title, I'm looking at Roman Reigns retaining the title. So we'll see how that comes about on Sunday. Let's see. Other than that, it's one more topic I want to get into. One of these I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to save for YouTube exclusive. By the way, Justin Credible, as you guys know, because we've been following him very closely, he was arrested again, but it looks like since he has been released. Give you guys a new update. Yeah, he was arrested the second time in the past 30 days, believe it or not. And originally this was reported by Pro Wrestling Sheet. Connecticut State Records, and remember, I was on this show a couple of weeks back and I told you guys what all I have found way before any wrestling outlets talked about what they have found through their respected reporting. I actually, did check the